It's been a long, long season.
2022 was the first year we decided to put food plots in on the farm. It was fun to watch them grow and see what animals they attracted when hunting season came. Around mid-October, bucks started showing up in daylight more frequently to try to claim their territory. Although we only planned to plant 2 food plots, we decided to use up the rest of the seed and fertilizer on a third plot over by my gun stand. It didn't take long for this plot to become the most popular with the deer, and a nice buck was showing up fairly frequently right after dark. I decided to make a move on him and hung a climbing tree stand next to my ladder stand, since you can't really bow hunt from the ladder stand. I was sitting down and realizing I had no trees to block his view of me to draw or stand up. At the last possible second, I tried to draw, and he busted me. I went on to finish the rest of bow season without taking a shot, but the buck was sticking around the farm, and I hoped to run into him again as the rut started to heat up and gun season was close.
Well, it's opening morning of Minnesota gun season, and I'm pumped. It's not a super nice morning. We got a little bit of a steady rain pretty much all day until about 4 o'clock this afternoon. So I just snuck out to the COVID castle, got the heater going, and it's just kind of nice to sit here in the rain being warm and dry. It's still a relatively new thing for me, so I'm loving it. I'm just gonna hope for the best here today and see what happens.
Well, I'm just headed off for the evening hunt here, a little later than usual because it's about 30 to 40 mile an hour gusting winds today, and me and nobody in the crew is really excited to go sit in that. I'm not expecting too good of a hunt and just kind of getting out because it's the rut and anything could happen. I think I'm just gonna try something random and head down by the pond area and just sit on the ground, kind of try to get out of the wind as opposed to just getting hammered in my tree stand. So we'll see what happens. You never know.
Oh my gosh, that was absolutely insane. I just pulled the trigger on what I think is a pretty big buck, but it happened really, really fast. It is the second day of gun season, November 6th, and the weather has been atrocious. We currently have 30 mile an hour winds here in Minnesota, and we all were just laying around on the couch in between hunts. And we're, the wind is just hammering on the side of the house, and we're like, well, we normally go out earlier, but we're like, let's just wait a little longer, and then we'll go out. Well, we went out. The wind is just hammering, so I thought, well, I'm just gonna hunt from the ground. I'm not gonna sit in my tree stand and get blasted by this 30-mile-an-hour wind. So I'm just like, well, just hunt from the ground somewhere. And I walked out by this old hay shed, and I was walking in, and I looked out into a field, and there was a monster buck running in this field, and I thought I spooked him. And I just dropped to the ground, and he was actually had his nose to the ground, and he was looking for does. He didn't see me. And I ranged him. He was 200 yards away. No way I'm taking that shot with a slug gun. But then he came down, and there's a little island of trees right here. He came down, and as soon as I saw that, I knew where he was going to come out. I dropped my gear and sprinted down from the hay shed down this big hill and waited for him to come out. Well, he never did. And I sprinted back up this big hill, grabbed my gear, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get set up. And so then I came running back down the hill over on this ridge, and then I could see him down by the pond over here. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, there's no move I could make, so I just watched him. And he went back up this ridge over here, and I was like, okay, well, he might swing back through later on. And I just ran over here and just quick sat on the ground, and I got my shooting rest ready, and then I could see him coming through. I don't even know if it's the same buck I saw originally, but it was a nice buck. And he came right through. I think it was like a 75-yard shot. I just quick ranged. He came right through. He stood totally still. I had a good rest. Shot. And he ran right into this tiny clump of trees, and he never came out. So fingers crossed he was a monster, and fingers crossed he went down. What a crazy story. Oh my gosh, I hope he's down. I really need this win after last year. Alright, well, it's been about an hour now, so I'm just moving in, trying to see if I can find this deer. I just found first blood, and it looks pretty good, but I kind of expected to see the deer piled up by now, so we'll take it slow. Well, this isn't turning out like I was hoping here. I waited about 45 minutes. The deer looked like it was hit really hard right behind the shoulder. Ran into this small little island here, and after about 45 minutes I went down, found blood no problem, and tracked him up into there, and there was a huge pile of blood. Nice red, bright red blood. Right after that I started following the trail, and then I completely lost the trail. And was just shocked. I spent a lot of time on it and just lost the trail. And I just, this is a very small island, and I didn't see him come out of it from where I was sitting, so I just started searching the island perimeter, and I saw a corn stalk with some blood on it on the bottom side of the island, and followed that, and then I started following the trail, kind of got back on it. And the deer, I must have pushed it out of there when I went to look. He must have ran right past where I was sitting, within actually 5 yards of where I actually was sitting, and was headed that way. So I'm just gonna wait now and give it some more time, and I don't know, see what happens, I guess. Lesson learned. Leaving a blood trail to give a deer more time and not push it further, which often leads to unrecovered deer, is a difficult thing to do, but in many cases, it is the right call. Decided to wait till 8, and we walked in the woods here, and I got back on the blood trail right away. And Lucas went up and around just to kind of not monkey up with the trail, and he's like, hey, I see it! And he was laying, I don't know, not 30 yards from where I left the trail. And yeah, it's a great buck. I was kind of jokingly calling him King Crab because he's got the split main beams there at the end, so extremely happy to have recovered the deer.
With my buck tag filled, I spent the rest of the season checking out spots that I always had a hunch about, scouting for next year, and had also planned on shooting a doe, but I decided to just enjoy the show the rut was putting on for me. It took me a day or two to realize the buck that I shot was the same buck that busted me with my bow earlier in the season, and I am definitely thankful for a second chance.
Was pretty exciting. If I didn't already have a buck laying, I think I would have definitely pulled the trigger on that guy. But it was pretty cool to just see him come through like that and try to get that other buck's toe. And man,